Live on YouTube on my channel, Midlife Love Out Loud. This is one of the first times, if not the first time, I've had a guest on my YouTube channel. So welcome, Joe Hoye. Joe Hoye is in the house.
I did not know that. That's exciting. Thank you.
Yes, this is special. You are special. So Joe and I met recently in the last year, and he is an expert when it comes to body fitness and health and wellness for women in the second half of life. And you know so many things. I've had you on my podcast. You have a special summit coming up, the Midlife Makeover. My God, we'll talk about that later, but that sounds amazing because as I know, as a midlife woman and 60-year-old, that there are different components to having a magnificent second half of life. And you focus on the body and our
Mhm.
challenges with fitness and getting weight off or on, or how to be healthy across the board. Uh, and so I just was like, you know what? Let's have another deeper conversation here. So thanks for hopping on today.
My gosh, my pleasure. And yeah, so for anyone that hasn't heard my conversation with the wonderful Junie Moon on her own podcast, a little bit backwards to think that this 30-year-old man actually knows a thing or two about women in midlife and beyond, but it's true. I do. And
That was
I'd
the
love
first
to
thing
dive
I
into
asked
that.
you. I was like, wait, before we get into all the content here, it's like, why
Who
should
the
we
hell
be
are you?
listening to you?
Yeah.
How do you know anything about us? And maybe you should share a few minutes about um, what, how you got into this expertise and why you are someone we should listen to. Because, gosh, you are so smart and doing such great work in the world for women like me.
Yeah, sure thing. So for anyone that wants the really in-depth story, I would just urge you to go and listen to Junie's podcast with me because I think I'm going to dive deeper into it there than I will here. But the Cliff Notes version, the too long didn't read, is it's a three-part story. Growing up, I was going down a bad path as a 13-year-old boy. My mom was really my only consistent, strong role model in my life. And one night, I was like, Mom, I'm done with my homework. For the most part, I didn't really finish it. I'm done playing video games. I'm bored. What do I do? She's like, I don't know, buddy. You can stay home and make your own fun. Or I think she's trying to play the cool mom that didn't really care. She's like, or you can come to the gym with me. It's up to you. And so, like, of course, I chose to go to the gym, and it's all because of my mom. And when she opened those gym doors for me, it's like the golden lights of heaven were shining through and the angels were singing, and I fell in love with it. And so, if it wasn't for my mom in the first place, I never would be here at all. Um, After that year in the gym, I hired my first coach at 14 years old. I started learning about nutrition, tracking macros, doing all this for me. But then everybody in my house started to fall in love with it too. So, like, my stepfather lost weight, my brother started to gain muscle, my mom lost weight and started to feel better. So, I noticed that one change inside the house could start to create massive change for everyone. So, that was really cool. But I was still really skinny. I got picked on all throughout high school by my friends, my brothers, and then people that were doing it in a very not nice way. And I didn't like that. So I wanted to get bigger, naturally, as a boy growing up here in America. I wanted to look like the Hulk and He Man and Captain America, you name it. And I couldn't do it. So I graduate high school. I start pursuing a career in surgery. And in college, I also discover this thing called alcohol, which a lot of us do. And so then I balloon up from, I was, when I graduated high school, 5'11", 135 pounds, so very, very skinny. I ballooned from that all the way up to about 220, 225 pounds, and I had a new problem. Now, I was still pretty unhappy with my body. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like how I felt. I didn't like my energy. And I was overweight, and I didn't know what to do. And so, like I said, I was pursuing a career in surgery. Because of that, I had to take nutrition courses, anatomy courses, physiology courses, kinesiology courses. And I learned everything I needed to about the human body. And when I did that and I put it together for myself, I finally accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. So there was Joe. He went from too skinny to too fat, and now he's in the middle, and he's happy with himself. He's confident. He's energetic. He looks good. And growing up in a small town, people really started to ask, like, Joe, how did you do this? Because we knew you at all three stages, and now you're doing great. So having a business mindset, I had enough people ask, and eventually it's like, I think I have something here. Number one, I can help a lot of people do what I did. Number two, I can probably make a couple bucks at it. And so transparently, I thought I wanted to help people like me, young men get muscular, lose fat, and feel confident. And so I started running these online group challenges to do exactly that. And I started marketing it and advertising it and posting everywhere about it, just talking very similar to how I talk now. And Sunday morning, day one of the challenge, I open up Zoom and I turn on my camera and I look at everybody else that's looking back at me, looking for guidance. And there wasn't a single guy.
And they
It
all
was
look like
all,
me.
they all look like Junie. Exactly. It was like everyone looks like Junie and my mom and my mom's friends. And I was like, what the hell? And I was scared. I was like, well, what do I do now? So I rolled with it. And at the end of that call, we were all laughing, much like Junie and I were just laughing. We were having a good time. And at the end of those 6 weeks, I created results for like 60 women.
That's
And I had a blast.
amazing.
So that's part two is I clearly said something that resonated with these ladies and I
Yep.
communicated in a way that they liked. So I wanted to give back to my mom. I communicated well with that population. And number three, going back to surgery again, I was pursuing a career in surgery. I graduated that. As I was running these group challenges, I was working full time in surgery. And by the way, before anyone gets ahead of themselves, I'm not a doctor. Putting that out there, not a doctor, because people have said that. And now I've learned. So I have to say that I'm not a doctor.
We
So,
just play one on YouTube.
yeah, exactly. So I was a surgical technologist. And in big hospitals, that role is really just setting up the operating room and passing instruments to the doctor. In my hospital, which was a small hospital, we didn't have residents, we didn't have PAs, we didn't have assistants. And so my job at a small hospital was to set up the room for the surgery. But then during the procedure, I did everything the doctor couldn't do with their own two hands. And with that, I was the only male in that role at the hospital. So it was me, 6 other ladies, and they thought it was a wonderful idea to stick the only male inside the OB and GYN based rooms. And so now I wanted to pay back to women. I communicated well with women, and I'm starting to massively, massively understand how their body works in a huge way because I'm spending 40 hours a week and on call emergency surgery hours with these professionals, these doctors that dedicated their entire adult life to learning about this one thing. And so I got really smart at figuring out what that demographic needs. Here we are.
Whew. And we're
I
grateful
said,
because
I
you
said I was going to
given
go short. I didn't go short.
it's all good. It's all good. Um, and now you focus on this demographic. And what I know about this demographic, because I live it, is it can be a little complicated. And there's lots of different moving parts. Granted, the summit that's coming up is going to address a lot of the moving parts, mind, body, and spirit. However, your specialty is the physical, how to manage our weight, feel good. And one of the things you even said about yourself when things changed was confidence and energy that you experience. And I know one that, as women are opening up to new love and dating and wherever they are in the second half of life, whether they're with a partner or not, energy is a big deal. Feeling good in our bodies that are changing, it's a big deal. Looking in the mirror and being compassionate to ourselves is a good deal. So um tell us a little bit about how, like, what would you say are a couple of the biggest mistakes women make in this stage of life when it comes to food and maintaining our bodies? Because things just aren't the same. We used to just tweak our food and the weight would come off. Our bodies felt more energetic. I mean, things have changed. So what would you
Mhm.
say are some of the biggest challenges you see, and what are maybe a couple of tips to grease the wheel of our transformation?
Yeah, I love it. I'll just spill all the beans here because I
Spill
mean
them.
that's what we're about. So recently in our group, I've actually been laying out something new that I'm calling the simple success model. And it really comes down to 3 simple steps, which is going to be simplifying nutrition, simplifying exercise, and simplifying lifestyle to create long-term success. Because I don't know about you, but I can't succeed at anything long-term if it's overly complicated or too time consuming. And so I
I'm
wanted
just
to
going to
take
actually hop in here and just say thank you right now because I just recently, and I learned a lot and it was great, but I just recently did a program, and it was just, my brain was just like, it was too hard, it was too challenging, and it was like, and then I gave up. I was like, all right, let me go back to square one and find a different way for me because it wasn't working. It was, it, it was just too regimented. It was just too hard. And so when, as soon as you said simple, I'm like, simple? Like, can we actually do it in a more easeful way that gets us results? Because there's that part of most of us, it's like work hard, things change, no pain, no gain.
This is what I see across the board, is that it's overcomplicated by so many people. And I think that's the number one reason it doesn't work, because there's too much stuff. And so what I found is that for a lot of the ladies we serve, they think that less food equals more results, and they think that more exercise equals more results. When in reality, we have to switch that. More food generally equals more results, and less exercise generally equals more results, because we understand that if you eat less food, your body it requires a certain amount. And if it doesn't get that amount of food, it starts to make its way into a state of stress. And nothing good happens in stress. Your body starts to hang on to weight. Other things need to give. And so energy, like we talked about before, goes, sleep goes, focus goes, libido goes, all that goes when your body is stressed. And the other thing is exercise is a stress. And so if you're not eating enough and stressing your body that way, and you're exercising too much and stressing your body that way, how on earth can somebody expect to see results if they're stressed at every corner they take?
Yeah. And for those of you that are watching, I mean, please put your comments if this is
Mhm.
resonating with you. Put comments below. We'll be looking at your comments. If you have any questions for Joe, put them underneath, this presentation. Wow, that it's kind of like you just threw this huge boulder into, water here. It's like this spill out is kind of crazy. Less exercise, not more, which makes sense. It's like the more push, the more the stress on our bodies,
Mhm.
our adrenals, just all of that, like push, 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 which is kind of how we've done it. And more food. And I
Mhm.
know so many people that have such limiting diets, such restrictive diets. And I'm like, and I've gone there too. I've gone there too.
Mhm.
So what do we do? What's one good first step here?
Okay. The first step, I would tell everybody, and if I'm sure Junie's going to link me, I have all this for free. So the first thing I want everyone to do is find what is called a TDEE calculator. So total daily energy expenditure. What that's going to do is ask you certain questions about your body, your age, your height, your weight, your activity level, your gender. And based on that, it's going to tell you how many calories you need specifically to survive, not to gain weight, not to lose weight, just to survive and give your body what it needs. Now, keep in mind, that's a calculation. It's going to change for everyone, but that's generally pretty darn accurate. And so I want people to start eating that amount. I'm willing to bet 9 out of 10 ladies that listen to this are going to be eating under that. And here's proof that what we do works. If you're eating under that number that you get from that calculator and you're not losing weight, there's a problem, because you should be losing weight if you eat less than that. So proof is in the pudding there. Once we get you back to your regular amount of calories, then we're going to start to look at the right type of exercise,
Hold
right?
on.
So,
Before we go to the exercise, you get this calorie to just baseline, you go under it, you should be losing weight,
mhm.
but doesn't it matter what you're eating? Like if you're eating crap and underneath it, like isn't that just going to turn more into fat, or is that like another whole conversation here?
Another conversation, but let's do this. So it does matter what you eat to an extent. No, I don't want people eating Twinkies all day long. Like, I think
Right,
we can
right.
all agree that's not going to work. We don't like to overly focus on every piece of nutrition, because, again, what you said, Junie, like, you've done the complicated thing and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We like the simple success model. And so what we look at are two things. We look at calories, because calories are going to decide what your body does on the scale. Does it go down? Does it stay the same, or does it go up? After calories, we look at protein, because protein starts to determine what your body looks like, right? What's it composed of? Is it composed of more fat, or is it composed of more muscle, right? And I think that we can all agree that we want less fat and more muscle, because I'm just going to act like I'm a lady in midlife. I understand that as I age, I'm losing muscle year after year. I'm losing bone density year after year. As I lose muscle, my metabolism slows down, which means I have to eat less food, which is a never ending cycle of just raising cravings being hungry, being miserable, and not having a fun life. So we want to keep that muscle. And the other thing is, muscle makes us look pretty damn good, whereas fat doesn't really.
There you go. And, when you said about the Twinkies, it brought me back to my Weight Watchers days many, 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 many moons ago. Because most of you all know that I used to be much heavier than I am now. So I used to do a lot of diets. It's been over 20 years since I've done any diets, which is why I've been able to maintain a healthy size
Nice.
body. And anyway, I remember like, oh, wow. If I just, the points, like, I didn't eat Twinkies, but it was kind of that version. It's like, oh, these pops, these these
Mhm.
these little treats. Well, instead of having lunch, let me have 3 of these treats. So yeah, maybe I did lose some weight, but how healthy was I? What did my body look like? Totally losing muscle, definitely not losing the fat. And I didn't feel good. And ultimately, my goal was to feel healthy. And I know for those that are watching, some of you might be like, well, no, I really want to look good and lose weight. But at the end of the day, don't you want to feel good in your body? Don't you want to have that energy? Don't you want to be sleeping well? I mean, this, and it doesn't mean you're deprived either, right, Joe? Like they can have nice, yummy things sometimes. It's just not, don't have that as your daily caloric destination.
There's no deprivation here. So I just, like an hour ago, I got off a 2-month check-in call with a client that is our head coaches. It's like, hey, how are things going? She's like, good, but I got to tell you, like, I didn't do that good yesterday. It was my birthday. It's like, I don't even want to hear about it. Like, it's your birthday. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Go have fun. She's like, really? It's like, yeah, I'm going to dinner tonight and I'm going to eat like a jerk. And tomorrow I'll get back on and I'll be good to go.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to one thing you just said. You said, I just want to look good. And so I paint that picture for a lot of people. Like I'll play the game of, okay, I snap my fingers and nothing changes, but now you went from 200 pounds to your goal of 155. Are you happy? And they're like, yeah, I'm so happy. Like, really? Because you still have cravings, you're still tired, you have no sex drive, your relationship with your husband sucks, you're never hungry, you can't focus at work, and you still don't have any more muscle than fat. You just look like a smaller version of yourself. Are you happy? And then they're like, oh,
Right. Because it's so much more
no.
than just how we look or what it says on the scale.
Hmm. Quality of life is huge, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that leads to the summit, but we're not going to talk about that just yet. Actually, let's talk about it now, and then let's swing back
Sure.
to the fitness, because you were going to say something about fitness. So, for those of you that want to know more about fitness, he's got some cool things he wants to share. But tell us about the midlife makeover, because they might be wondering what that is right now.
Yeah. So our goal, or my goal, has always been simple. Probably the same with you, Junie, but I want to help as many people as possible, which I think is why all good people get into business, because they have something they think can help someone. But somewhere along the way, I've been doing this for 6 years, I realized I can't help as many people as I want. Like, there's way more people that I can reach with a bigger circle of friends like you than I could on my own. And so
Yeah.
that's what the midlife makeover is about. It's for the same goal, to help every woman in midlife and beyond with their nutrition, their exercise, their mindset, their health, their menopause, their career, their sex, their relationships, you name it. But I've brought in every single person I've met for the last 6 years and then some, and I've created this really well-rounded 5-day free event. It's online, by the way, that anyone can attend and learn from. And so, like I just said, I kind of spilled the beans on all of it, but it's on July 15th, goes till July 20th. There's a bonus day in case anybody's like, Joe, that's 6 days. It's free. And gosh, we have some amazing speakers. I mean, Junie's here. I'm here. If anybody's ever heard of my favorite speaker right now is Chris Powell. If anybody's ever heard of Chris Powell, he'll be there. And if that name's ringing a bell, but you can't put a face to it, if anybody ever watches TV and you're flipping through the channels and you go to ABC and you've seen this show called Extreme Makeover Weight Loss Edition, he was the coach, the host of the TV show for like 5 to 7 seasons. And he's
Wow.
going to be speaking at the summit, sharing what he learned on that show and his expertise. And man, I just can't wait to hear what you have to say about your presentation and everybody else, because I'm going to learn too.
There's I love it. And I saw the people that are the lineup of experts. I think it's amazing because it's not just one, it's that like the wheel of life, you know, the pie of
Mhm.
life. If we just focus on one slice of the pie, it's not a balanced life, and it's going to be a very clunky wheel. It's not going to roll. And so we need these pieces. And of course, I'm going to be diving into the heart and relationships and how to do that well, because there's nothing more important on this planet, in my opinion, than love and relationships. And again, you can be in a tiny sized body, but if you're not communicating well and being able to share and have that deep intimacy and connection, you know, it's not going to feel so great. And vice versa. You could have a great relationship, but if you're overeating and you're not exercising, rah, 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 you know, it's like it just keeps going. So we'll put the link below for you. You can even post it in the chat, I think, right now. I'm not sure, for those of you that are watching. I don't know if it's easier to do or not. But I'll definitely put it below the presentation, Joe. So don't even worry.
Okay.
So I want to go into you mentioned the exercise before. I paused you before, but before we do that, I just really want to acknowledge you, because one of the things I love about you, Joe, is the high level of the quote game you're playing at reaching more people and doing good work. This summit looks phenomenal. We are in April right now, and he's already putting it together, fine tuning it, letting people know so that they have time to put it on their calendars. He's got such a great lineup. So I can't wait to be part of it. And Joe, I just think you're doing great work in the world. I'm so glad we're friends and colleagues and playing together in this arena. So it's
Me
gonna be great.
too. Well, thank you. I'm excited to learn. I mean about yours, the hidden code behind midlife bliss. That's what we're calling it. And I just, I'm going to be sitting in on that with everybody else because I want to learn about it. Because eventually,
Midlife bliss. Who
I
doesn't
will
want
be in
midlife
midlife and I
bliss?
want that bliss.
Yes, yes. And it's something that you can look forward to then, Joe.
I'm going to be so good at midlife when I get there because of this early work I'm doing. I can't freaking wait.
And all the women that you're helping, I'm sure you're learning a ton about us. So beautiful. So let's switch gears a little bit and go back to the fitness. Do you remember where you were heading to with that topic?
Yeah, I mean, just like nutrition, we like to keep it simple. And so,
Yeah.
number one, it's funny that we're talking about this now because I'm laying it out in our Facebook group right now for everyone to do just on their own. So, number one, we need to understand the right and wrong type of exercise for someone's goals, right? There's no wrong type of exercise until you start putting a goal to it, right? And so if somebody's goal is muscle gain or fat loss, cardio is the wrong type of exercise. But if somebody's goal is heart health, cardio is the right type of exercise, right? And so we need to define that. And so for our focus right now, muscle gain or muscle retention, and then fat loss, strength training is the only way to go.
Yeah.
And then the next piece to this is how much do I do? Well, we have to look at our recovery, right? And so we can link this. I can give you a PDF download because I think it's going to be helpful. But we have to understand that exercise as a whole breaks down our body. And so as we exercise, we're not actually getting stronger. We're not actually getting more fit. We're breaking it down. And so there's another component that everyone needs in order to actually get the benefit, which is recovery. Because we break our body down a little bit through exercise and then we recover and we get stronger than we were before. And so before we can determine how much exercise we need to determine how well we recover. And so what I just created probably 2 hours ago, I'm dead serious, is this recovery system. It's a point system where you determine how well recovered you are week after week. And by doing that, you figure out how much you should actually be exercising to create the result you want. And so if you want, I'll put it in a PDF format. I'll link it and people can get it in the
Yeah, that
description.
sounds great. I'll definitely put that there.
Cool.
And no size fits all. I mean, it
Mhm.
really is individually tailored. We were talking recently because Joe and I work together, and he's going to continue to help me be my best self. And I was talking to him about how often should I be working out? And it really depends on you, our how we are individually. I track my sleep, and there is this thing called recovery. And there are days when it says day off. It's
Yeah.
like you did not recover, you did not give yourself enough time, you did a lot yesterday, today is a day off. And now if I was in the, well, I need to get back on, like, what am I doing to my body? So what I love about your coaching is you do, there is the umbrella for us all, and the knowledge that you have, and then you tailor it to people. So yeah, so for anyone that wants to know more about Joe, we're definitely going to put his information below this recording. Definitely come to the summit. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up for today?
No, that's it. I mean, the one thing I'd want to say is that I want to let people know we're never going to be that company that just sells something. So if anybody's thinking like, I like what Joe has to say, I want his coaching, before any of that, I want one of two things to happen. I want somebody to attend the summit and pay a lot of attention, make sure that you resonate with us, because I want to be the right fit. And then the other thing is, if you're biting at the bit and the summit hasn't happened yet, come spend time in our group and read my posts and go through the help that I give you for free first and see if that helps.
Yeah, and
Because
you're talking about your Facebook group, right?
yes, yep.
Yeah, it's a great group. He's constantly giving information, doing some lives, prompts. Amazing. You give so much. And
It's
it's
the
another
goal.
reason why I adore you, because you really are in service. And then it's similar to what I do too. It's like, I have my clients and I have my groups, my paid groups. However, I'm
Mhm.
constantly giving free content because I want people to try it on and test it out and see if it resonates, and be able to give to lots of people that may or may not decide to raise their hand for individual support just yet.
I stay
So
on your
I
email
love
list
how
just to
much you
read it.
give.
Yeah. I stay on your email list just to read it because you share so many positive, like valuable things in there.
Oh, thank you. Back at you. Mutual admiration
Yeah,
society here.
perfect.
But we need each other. That's the thing. It's like, here we are with our expertise. And then there's another whole piece behind the scenes, which is our business. And how do we support each other in our business? And how do we maintain that balance? It's all part of having an extraordinary life. And we're working it together, which is beautiful. So we'll put the links in for a deeper dive with Joe. You can go to my podcast. It's on this channel. You can just search his name, and you'll find the episode. It was a much deeper dive into macronutrients and how to have, whatever. Just go check it out. I don't remember the name of it. I don't remember what we talked about, but suffice to say, there was a lot of information and more to come. Joe, thanks for hopping in. I'm so glad you were able to do this today. I really wanted to get the ball rolling and let people know about your events.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope we get some of your audience in there and we can help them in ways you haven't helped them yet.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And if you got some value out of this, like it, and please subscribe to the channel, because then you'll get notified of other special things like this. I'm going to be doing a lot more lives. If you haven't taken my quiz will be linked below as well. Do sign up for the summit, and just keep learning, keep growing, and trusting that midlife can just get better and better and better for all of you. All right. Ciao, ciao. How do we stop the live? Still live, trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to stop the live. Let's just
I do the
like
same thing.
hello and, still going. Let's see. All right. End live stream. All right. Bye, everybody.